Hi, my name is Liad Ofek. I'm the Director of Product Management, part of the Enterprise Infrastructure Solution Group under Jeff, as you just heard. And specifically, I'm responsible for our main topic today, Enterprise NFV, or how we can actually virtualize network functions for the enterprise. So let's start. And when we look into NFV, a lot of you are saying, hey, NFV, it's a term that we heard a lot together with SDN, but it's very much associated with service providers, right? And it's true. NFV started from a group of service providers. They work together with some vendors, define an ETSI model for NFV with the main goal of actually achieving both the flexibility and agility that service providers need. When they need to serve their customers, they want to be able to be up to speed with the latest technology, deploy new services for their customers much quicker than they used to do before, but also at the same time save cost. Save both CapEx with the infrastructure that they need to build, but also the operational cost of serving their customers and be able to deploy services quicker at a lower cost. So NFV has started really with service providers with the goal of achieving both cost reduction, being much more quicker to provide services for their customers. Now, enterprises have observed what's happening on the SP side, and many of them in discussion with us told us, well, a lot of these goals actually applies to my enterprise as well, right? You know, there's several things that are happening at the enterprise, right? We get several demands from our business to use mobility devices. You know, we want to move to a digitized organization. We want to connect as many devices in our network. You know, there's a demand to try to understand what our users are using, our internal users, our customers, and use the network for that. Or there's the trend of moving application and serving application from the cloud. The networking team needs to actually respond to all of these requests and be able to deploy these technologies quicker into the enterprise in order for the business to start benefiting from them. This means they need to be fast, they need to be able to deploy the services that are required to actually provide all these mega trends, and they need to do it quickly and in a cost-effective way. This is why virtualizing services is very compelling for enterprises as well. And we talk with several of our customers. More than, you see here, more than 60% said, hey, we want to move and virtualize as much as we can. Many of them told us that for the next 24 months, virtualizing the network function is one of the top 3 strategic projects that they have. And again, the main thing is be able to respond quickly and also save cost. And cost is not just the cost of the hardware that I need to deploy, it's also the cost of the operational cost of deploying services to many remote branches. So when we look into our digital network architecture that Jeff has mentioned on the previous session, from a Cisco perspective, we looked on all the enterprise components and really define what are the requirements from the network to enable organization to digitize their business. And these are the principles. The first one is part of the infrastructure, which we believe that it needs to be virtualized. This means that at Cisco, we are committed to provide all the same component, the same network services that you're familiar today, and make them all virtualized. If it's routing, WAN optimization, security, wireless switching, all be able to provide, in addition to our physical, also a virtual version of that. So now you can choose, you can migrate very easily from physical to virtual, but that's part of the infrastructure that needs to enable you to do that. The second element of our DNA architecture is automation. If you want to achieve that agility, the quickness of deploying services, the ability to reduce the time and cost to operate and deploy a network, automation is key. And this is where a controller-led automation is a key component of our DNA architecture. Our APKM controller is the main part, and the multiple applications on top of APKM, such as our I1 app for I1 and SD-WAN services, and ESA, Enterprise Service Automation, which you're going to hear today, are important component of our automation tools. The next element is analytics, right? By having the network providing you all the information that the network can see, the business can use this information for multiple business reasons, to understand where our customers are using the company's services. If it's a retail shop, where are they actually spending their time? If it's for security purposes, how can I detect alerts quicker from the network? So analytics, both for assurance and security, is another important part of the architecture. And the last portion of our architecture is be able to move to a cloud-managed solution. And this is where you would see a lot of the new innovation from Cisco are built from a cloud perspective first, cloud managed first. And we're going to enable that on all the infrastructure as part of the enterprise. We have the Meraki solution, which is developed from cloud, but we're looking for the rest of the enterprise portfolio to also move into a cloud managed, cloud delivered model. And we have, part of the announcement, we announced our CMX cloud, for example, which is a good proof point of that. Another key component is that this architecture is both extendable and open. And you'll see when I'm going to deep dive into Enterprise NFV, you'll see that each component in our solution has open APIs and can run third parties and other options that the customers want. Eventually, we believe that this architecture will enable our customers to get better insight and experience, move to automation, which will make their network much quicker and enable assurance, but also keep the security and compliance while you're running these type of services. So let's go back to the virtualization part of DNA and understand what are the main benefits for enterprises, right? I talked about the ability to just simplify my day-to-day operation as a network administrator. Now, if I need to deploy service, I just go to one place and click, and in minutes, I can have this service up and running across hundreds or thousands of branch offices. This makes my life easier to either install new services or remove or troubleshoot. It enables you to roll up services, but also roll up new sites or new location much quicker. It also gives me the flexibility for my deployment options. It means if I want to run a service, a security service, one optimization, I can run it on my existing hardware infrastructure, if it's a router or a switch, or I want to just have a generic x86 server and load everything on top. This is where Enterprise NFV can provide you these benefits as part of our solution. So let's go a little bit deeper into, if I want to run Enterprise NFV, what are the key components of a solution that I need, right? And I'll start here from the bottom. Talk about the infrastructure, the hardware platform, right? As Jeff mentioned before, we believe that our customers should have the freedom of choice of which platform they actually want to run. It's all based on a router, on a switch, or an x86. It can be a Cisco hardware, but it can also be a third party or off-the-shelf hardware as well. So enterprises would want that flexibility. The next requirement is in order to have that flexibility, you need an abstraction layer, a software that can be installed on each one of these hardware platforms and abstract the underlying hardware and provide a virtualization or a hosting platform for the network services that will be installed on top. Right? What we heard from our customers is that the networking team really want a network hypervisor that is easy, simple, and transparent, that doesn't require them special skills that they don't have. So it's key that this layer looks very similar to what the networking team is using today on the physical world. It was simple, automated, and abstracted as much as possible. And you'll see when we go into details on that layer, we invested a lot of resources to see how we can take all our experience from developing networking software into a network software virtualization there as well. The next important layer is actually the network functions themselves. As I mentioned at Cisco, we are committed to provide all our services as a virtual network functions, or VNFs. And we're going to use that term VNF today a lot. So VNF are the same network functions you have on physical, but now they can run virtually across the network. So the key requirements for these VNFs is first, they need to work well together. Because now I'm going to run it on the same hardware platform. I cannot have a VNF that consumes all the resources and other VNFs that don't have enough resources. So they need to work well together, consume the resource efficiently. But also you want to have the ability to deploy VNFs from multiple vendors, right? A solution cannot be just one VNF or multiple VNFs from one vendor. It needs to be open. This is another part of being open and extendable for our DNA, is to be able to support third-party VNFs as well. And then the last layer is the automation or orchestration. It's another key element, and you cannot have a complete NFV solution without that. But if you want to get the agility, the quickness, you need a controller that can automate the provisioning of these services on your virtual infrastructure. Okay, any questions so far?
So the virtualization layer, I'm assuming, is this KVM, CAMU type of deal, or what is the hypervisor layer?
Yes. So we are using KVM as the hypervisor. We believe that that's the best hypervisor for these networking needs. So we took that and implemented it in our software. And we'll go in the next session in very details. You're also going to see a demonstration of that software layer. But yes, KVM is the hypervisor that we are using.
Okay. And you do have a controller, like you're saying, that all these services, you could deploy them to hundreds, maybe thousands of sites and just do a zero-touch provisioning of all these services, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Cool.
Yes. Our controller, and you'll see a demonstration of that.
All the automation system.
And that's everything. That's firewalling, that's
Yes.
routing.
Okay. So let's go into a little bit more detail. So now when we understand the requirements, how actually Cisco have launched a couple of months ago as part of our digital network architecture launch. This is our enterprise NFV solution. And I'm emphasizing this as a solution because we actually package all these 4 elements in a solution that we deliver to our customers. We are developing it as a solution, we are testing it, and we are delivering it to our customers as a solution, even though every element here is open, and if you desire to replace one element with something else, you are able to do that. So I'll start here from the top. I talked about the orchestration automation. This is where our APKM controller is the key element, and an application that we have developed called Enterprise Service Automation. This is our automation tool that enable our customers to design a branch or later on even a campus or a data center and be able to automate the deployment of the services within that design, both for physical and virtual. Okay? And in today's session, we're going to demonstrate how the Enterprise Service Automation tool can orchestrate and automate provisioning of a complete branch with multiple virtual network functions: routing, firewall, wireless control, and WAN optimization. The next layer are our set of virtual network functions, VNFs. Now, in the first phase of Enterprise NFV, we focus on the 4, probably the highest VNF that we heard from our customers. We start first with routing. We have actually led the market of actually taking our iOS and virtualizing it. Our cloud services router, CSR, was launched a couple of years ago already, mainly for cloud use cases. And it's available today both on cloud providers such as Amazon and Azure. And we took a lot of the experience we had of developing a software version of iOS into everything we do today. Actually, in the room, I have the 2 main engineers, Arun and Yega, that actually started the CSR development and now also added our NFV solution. So what we've done, we took the CSR and we created a branch version of that iOS, and we're calling it the ISRV. So ISRV has all the same capabilities you have with a physical ISR in a virtual form factor. It includes IWAN, which is our SD-WAN offering, and all our rich sets of iOS, both security and networking capabilities. The next main VNF is for security. And ASA has been the leading firewall for us. We have released for a while our ASA-V. Now it's also available as part of this solution. You will see that we are, in the next phase of the solution, we're going to come up with the next generation firewall that we have launched that will become in a couple of months from now. But security is probably either the top or the second top VNF that we see required for branch offices, especially when we see direct internet access at the branches. WAN optimization is another key in our virtual WAS product, which is available today as well. It's part of our solution, including our Akamai caching as part of that software. And the fourth one is a wireless controller. I can tell you when we started talking with customers about Enterprise NFV, I was surprised to hear that wireless controller is one of the top network functions that our customer wants to virtualize. So virtual WLC has been there. We included it as part of this solution. But as I mentioned before, we're also opening up for third-party VNFs. We are doing several testing with third party. We're talking with our customers, listening to their requirement, and it's open for them to actually run on the same architecture. We are testing these VNFs together. We're making sure they work together, and they are designed in a network that can run well together. This is, if I move now to the third layer, this is our software layer that I mentioned, NFV-IS. NFV infrastructure software. This has the KVM hypervisor in it, but it also has a lot more. It has lifecycle management, plug-and-play capabilities. It has all the APIs to be able to control it, either from our controller or any controller that you have. It supports both REST and netconfig. We'll go into details into NFV-IS in James' session, and you'll see all the innovation we added into that software layer. We use a lot of the experience we had from developing the CSR into this layer. We use some open source and some Cisco developed software that we package together. Now, the key important elements of this software, I mentioned it needs to address the requirement for the networking person. Being transparent, easy to use, but also fits to a branch use case where it consumes minimum resources from the single hardware that you may have at the branch. Unlike the data center, where you can actually leverage a lot of hardware, this is where OpenStack is a great technology, but you need many pieces of hardware where at the branch, you don't have that luxury. Now, on the hardware front, we have several options. We talked about either being able to integrate it into an existing router with our UCSE compute plate, or use a server using our Cisco UCS C-Series as a server that now can also be deployed at a branch. But as Jeff mentioned, we are open, and the complete solution can actually run also on off-the-shelf x86 servers as well. So why are customers interested in Enterprise NFV? And let me give you a story about one of the customers we work with, IBM Aviation. They are actually providing the networking services for Lufthansa and other services as well. When we talk with them, they mentioned that they have limited space at airports to provide services. And they want to be able to provide services for their airlines at these airports, including security, access to their application quickly with one optimization, but they don't have enough space. So virtualizing all these components into one hardware platform was a key requirement from their perspective. And they also wanted to be able to load new services for their airline customers across the airport quickly. This is why APKM and the automation and be able to deploy the services quickly was a key requirement for them. Another customer of ours, which is an oil and gas company, I met with a customer, he told me for them to deploy a service to their remote sites, which can be an oil rig in the ocean, it's minimum 3 months. They need to schedule a helicopter to get there, send engineers. They said, this is just too slow. We cannot, evolve our network in this manner. So we want to ship hardware once and then do everything else remote. Never need to ship hardware or send engineers. This is why Enterprise NFV was a very compelling event. In addition, what we've done with our Cisco One licensing, we told our customers, if you have a physical device today, if you have a physical router or a physical firewall, if you buy it through our Cisco One licensing, when you are ready to migrate to a virtual version, you can actually maintain your investment and just port the software license into the virtual version. So be able to provide that protection with Cisco One is a key value for our solution. As I mentioned before, we are developing a complete solution with Enterprise NFV. It includes both hardware, software layer, VNF, and orchestration. So we believe that we are a trusted partner for our customers that provide a complete solution for their intelligent branch. And the last thing, I covered our digital network architecture. It has many elements in addition to virtualization, automation, analytics, and also cloud managed. We believe that our customers, by adopting DNA, can actually move into digitizing the network much quicker.